So I'm all yours. Huh? We can have maybe 1 minute of silence and ask for guidance, healing, that whatever needs to be answered, be answered. Huh? We can just sit for 1 minute. And whenever you're ready, I will listen.
Great. Well, I wanted to get some, I guess, clarification from you about doing the work that you talk about in your book.
Yes.
I have been doing it on my own, mostly in the mornings. It seems like when I wake up in the morning, the thoughts have already started about, I'm upset about this or I'm worried about that or whatever. And I find that seems to be the most useful time for me to do that.
Yes.
But I was going to ask you about, you talk about in the book about returning to the source before you start the phrases. And I wasn't quite sure what you meant by that.
Is not to forget who you are. You know, when we forget, we are completely absorbed into our thinking, our thoughts, our emotions. Mm-hmm. So before you start, I say return to the source. That means return to the observer. Huh? Know you are the observer. Come to this place, that little distance. Huh? Even if afterwards in daily life you're one with everything. When you do the healing work, you come back to this place of self-recognition. Huh? It's a place of self-recognition. Yeah. So is this clear, Lynne?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How is this for you? Just to make sure. I always check. Huh? I know you know, but how is this place for you? How would you define it or explain it?
I guess I would call it awareness.
Yes. And why is it awareness? How does it make you observe things? Or what is awareness?
It's like you say about taking some distance from what's happening and just being aware without judgments or thoughts or being too much involved in what's going on.
Does it even mean that? Because you can be very much involved, but you know you're very much involved. You can be judgmental, but you know you're judgmental. You know, it's just a knowing, huh? And this we forget, huh? Just that little movement, that pure knowing, huh? It's so delicate that you cannot define it as silent even, huh? Because it's just looking at silence, huh? So really, really nothing, but that small little distance from the object, huh? That you're observing. Anything can be present. Huh? The thoughts, the emotions, the judgment, the absence of peace, anything can be present, but you're there, you know. You're not confused. Right. Between the thought and yourself, between the emotion and yourself, between the judgment and yourself.
Right.
This we forget this little subtlety.
Right.
And we want to reach that, when we forget that subtlety, we want to reach a special place, isn't it?
Yes, definitely.
So this is a trap, a spiritual trap. Yeah.
Yes, I think there's some confusion and doubt with me because I've been sitting with these teachers, sitting in person, and they're I'm pretty sure they follow what you would call the masculine path, and
Yeah.
the quite a few people have become awakened in their presence,
Yes.
and Lauren does something like eye gazing, and people awake. And that happened to me when I was there one time. And I thought I was awake. And
What
it
do you
lasted.
mean by awake? How people define awakening? What they define as awakening?
Um, the awareness that you are not your body mind. You
Okay.
are you are
The
pure consciousness.
the haha, wow, I got it. Huh?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, you can call it awakening. It's still mental. Huh? It's still mental understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm? I make this difference so we know exactly, yeah, what it means. Huh? It's a haha, wow, I got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had that reaction. I had, like I just started laughing, and
Yes.
and then when I got home, like I would look at my hand, and I'm, it like, oh, look at, it was, there was that distance, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And and that, like I say, it lasted for about 10 days. And I had a friend staying with me at the time, and we were in conflict, and it just vanished.
Uh-huh.
And so I know I have ego patterns there that are very strong, and I am trying to work with them, um, and yeah, I just and I think that maybe I had some doubts about what had happened to me too, and it just, I don't know. I don't know.
Yes, you can have what is it? It's like you can sometimes you're in a place on a floor in a building, and there are the stairs to go
Yep.
to the floor you want to reach, or there is the elevator.
Right.
And sometimes through the presence of some people who are in a high state of consciousness, it's like an aura or like a cloud that goes around you, they bring you to the elevator to reach that floor.
Yes.
And when you take this elevator, you kind of plug into this awareness, and you feel like, wow, you are bathing into this place.
Yes. Yes.
Either through the presence of some people, or because you do meditation, or you reach a special state of consciousness.
Yes.
Where you feel you're floating, and you feel everything collapses into this space, like fights with people, and the presence is there, but it will go. And because it's not a presence that has been going through the stairs.
Okay. Yes.
When you go through the stairs, you get the awareness of ego on the way. It's like when you take the elevator, you go one way, wow, directly to the top floor, but you haven't been conscious of the steps to go to the floor. So it's a beautiful state, but it's temporary, and it will go down again.
Yes.
Because the path has not been through a consciousness completely. It's a bypass, you could say. A little, very good bypass. It brings you a sense of, wow, I got that sense of how it feels to be free, or how it feels you feel the presence, you feel the flavor of consciousness. But that's a very, how could I say, it's a very deceiving flavor, because you think you have to reach that.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and you get attached to this state, and you want to go back there, and you lose what is really presence.
Yes.
Which can still welcome all the steps on the way with the same distance, and it doesn't matter anymore whether you feel that good or not that good. So truth is always welcome. There is no bypass. There is no hiding. There is no, I want to reach that. So enjoy that state, but know it goes. It always goes, if it hasn't been smooth towards every step. So a lot of spiritual teachers and disciples get trapped. A lot get trapped there and want to reach this place. And I've met some people who've been there for 10 years, sometimes 15 years, and then went down, and they were depressed and thought that they were enlightened, and they lost it, and they didn't get the subtlety of what it means to be enlightened. It doesn't mean reaching a special place, but being open to whatever is coming on your way with the same awareness.
Yes. Yes.
So this is what is happening sometimes through groups. Also, the collective atmosphere can bring you to that place.
Yes.
A lot of people who are meditating, who believe in it, who are into their heart, create this cloud of energy, this atmosphere, and it brings people up.
Right.
So beautiful, but if you get with a teacher who can tell you don't get trapped there at that level, it's good. Otherwise, the ego, spiritual ego, gets trapped there, and it's a very So that's wonderful, but it's better. It's just one way or another. If you take the elevator way, you can get a taste of it and then come down to the center, to the heart. Meaning, be also aware of your ego at some level, and also detach from some specialness, special states of consciousness. And some paths go towards the stairs. They take the stairs, and it's a little bit harder, and they get tired, and they get disappointed, and they don't feel like there's success, and they don't feel that they get anywhere. But it doesn't matter, because every step that is welcome with awareness, that means from the place of presence, is fine. You don't need to go high. You don't need to go down. You just become more and more aware. You reach a certain depth, actually. But it's only important for ego, for presence, as long as you're aware here and now of what is really happening within you, it is enough. You understand, You know that very much.
Yeah.
So it's more important to be here and now, completely open to what is happening, whether good or not so good, whether high or low, but from that place of presence. And that is freedom.
Right.
Beyond emotions, states, thoughts, you're open to truth. And that's what is truly enlightenment, the readiness to be open to truth. So you can really see the depth of who you are, that means the light, when you're really ready to open to truth without, and also being ready to lose, Lynne. Because if you're not ready to lose something, you're not ready for the light.
Right.
If you're attached to the high states of consciousness, you're not ready for the light. If you're attached to your happiness, you're not ready for the light. You have to be ready. I said this word, to lose. It's not that being ready for the light is being a loser, but you have to have that, you don't mind anymore. Winning or losing, it doesn't matter. You will still be open to truth. So it's a state beyond the duality of good, bad, high, low. So that's a clarification that is important, not to forget. Yeah.
And that's and I was aware at some level that there was some spiritual ego there, because I told a couple of people that I was awake.
Yes.
So, and also, and the whole thing about craving that state again too.
Yes, yeah. It's very important to make a distinction of words so that the spiritual ego doesn't get a chance to be trapped. So in my terminology, in my vocabulary, I make the distinction between awakening, which is the mental, sometimes through an experience or through something, you get a mental understanding of who you are. So through you feel the presence, you see the observer, you see there is something beyond the body, beyond the thoughts, beyond. That's awakening. it's still a mental understanding. It is a ha-ha that you get. And this awakening may lead you to illumination or enlightenment. So this is when you know who you are, you have awakened, in my terminology. Some people say awakening and enlightenment is the same, but I make a difference so that we can make a difference between these stages where there is a ha-ha, but not yet illumination or enlightenment, but you have understood who you are. And if you're also open to truth, you understand who you are, and you're open to your ego, you're open to truth, there may become a time where illumination happens. This is not in our hands. It happens or not. You have to, there is a craving, a fire for it, usually, that opens that door. The whole body, the whole energy wants it. It's just the time. But it doesn't matter whether it happens or not. And then, even after that stage, it's not it. Because there is a deepening into deeper and deeper roots of the tree of life, deeper roots of humanity within. You discover more and more some ego patterns. It's like the mystic night. You have enlightened, but it's not finished completely. Not that your ego will lead you, but you can see still some patterns of ego. You're aware of them. You become aware of them, and more aware as a depth until the waves you've crossed, they become steady, and they may become a state of steady openness, and that's self-realization. What I call self-realization. But all of this doesn't matter in a way, as long as you are into your presence here and now. That's all that matters. Because the rest, ego can trap you into it. I want to reach this, I want that. It doesn't matter. The only way is, I know who I am, I'm open to here and now. But it's still important to know what is around that, because otherwise the spiritual ego will go there. So it's still important.
And these teachers come from the background of Maharishi, and so they talk about the different stages of consciousness, right? And so it is easy to get trapped, like about, like what stage am I in, or what stage is that person in, or whatever. And I try not to get too involved in that, because I haven't done all that studying myself, but these people have. And they've recommended that I do TM meditation in particular. And so I have been doing that for a couple of years now. But yeah, I still find myself questioning myself, like, am I meditating? Am I going deep enough in my meditation? Things like that, right? It's just like...
Yeah. Every path is beautiful, Lynne. We should not forget that, but we should not forget who you truly are. And who you truly are, to realize it, see again this open window. It's like presence. It's an open window. And when you do the path of you've been following, the path you've been following, it's an open window that only wants to see a blue sky. So if a cloud comes into the process, they don't want it. You have to stick to the open sky inside, to the silence inside, to being free from thoughts, free from emotion, free from thought. So it's a window that is still in control, one's control. There's still a controller. It's not, see the difference between what I call the masculine, it's my terminology also, what I call the verticality, where you are open, but that window wants things a certain way. It has to be a certain way. And it brings you high. It can bring you high because you put aside all that is disturbing the clear, open blue sky. So you may reach through effort, meditation, exercise, steps, blah, blah, blah. You can reach a state where onto your meditation cushion, into special places of meditation with certain groups, you can reach a place where you feel, wow, I got it. There is no thoughts in me. I'm into emptiness. I'm into silence. I'm into this beautiful place. I've reached it. But then you come out of your meditation, you go back to life, and again it happens. That this disturbs you, this disturbs you, this disturbs you. So you've just put aside the clouds that you didn't want to see through your window.
Yeah.
What is the awareness of the heart? What is the heart? The heart has lost control. The heart doesn't open to the window, but doesn't want to say, I just want a blue sky. I just want purity. This is not the heart.
Okay.
The heart doesn't care whether there is no cloud or a cloud, because I've recognized who I am. I've recognized my open window. And I'm going to be that open window. That's only that what is important. An open window is an open window. So if there is a blue sky, there is a blue sky, fine. But I won't be even attached to it because I know it will pass. A cloud may come and I'm open to the cloud may come. So being yourself, being consciousness is not opening your window and selecting what kind of sky of you want. Being conscious is opening your window and being ready to welcome any kind of view because you know who you are. You're not confused. I am not even the blue sky. I am just a window. And if a very stormy sky comes with lightnings and storms and whatever, this also won't make me afraid because I know who I am. I am not that storm. I am the window, the open window. So this is the awareness of the heart. It is not selective. It is not discriminative. It doesn't pretend anything. It doesn't hide anything. It is just pure openness to here and now as it is experienced within, knowing it will change, but having found my own anchor, my own pillar, who I am. The open window, the open awareness, the open presence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not expecting things to be a certain way when at any time, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think that a few of us that are on this path, are expecting something to happen to us when we sit with these people, right? And not being, just like you say, present in the here and now, and just being open to whatever comes up.
Yes, without confusion.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. Yeah. Good. You see it clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of coming at things in a different way, because for quite a few years I've been coming at it with the other perspective of, I want to reach this state, right? And so I'll have to watch myself, right, to see when that thought or that feeling is happening.
Yes.
Because it's an old habit.
Yeah, it's a different way. Sometimes you start with a blue sky and then slowly you open to the clouds, or you first open to the clouds and slowly they all disappear because you've seen them all and they have no more power over you. And so it happens naturally this way, or it happens through the wheel of the mind the other way, but it can lead to the same result. So there is admiration of the vertical path in general because it's more impressive. It feels you're improving. It feels you're reaching some places.
Yes.
Whereas, so there is admiration of that. There is gratefulness for that. But the path of what I call the path of the feminine has been completely neglected because it appears as a less enjoyment, more common, more ordinary path. It's for the ego, there is no chance. You're like, oh no, again this and again this. And it doesn't feel like you're someone special.
Yes.
But you cannot fall into traps this way. But you will be less steady at the beginning. But once you become steady and you've seen it all, it's like you're You're this strength pillar that cannot be destroyed in any kind of wind. Huh? So you really find home,
Right.
which is freedom from all kinds of, not because they don't come into your life, but because you don't identify with them. You've seen them. You're steady through them. Or even if you're moved by them, you can still find again and again something is inside you that cannot be destroyed at all. That is unbreakable, completely unbreakable, and that is your freedom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Something happened a few days ago. I've started a new relationship. I've been single a long time, but I started dating somebody. And when we were talking the other day, he said something and it just set me right off. I was triggered. And yeah, it was just like so intense. And so I took some time to, let myself have the feelings and to try and figure out what the wound in me was, because it was so strong, right? And I think I figured it out. I think it was he said something about, we're not, in a committed relationship yet or whatever. And I think it was, I felt unworthy of and so I worked on it. And it took me several days, but I just completely let go of that now. It feels really good.
Wonderful, Lynne. Wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it shocked him because, he doesn't do this kind of work. But yeah. Anyway, I know I still can get triggered, but I do know, how to work with it when it happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
Somehow we get triggered when we are not used to these words, huh? Yeah. Because we are not, it was something foreign. Somehow there was a wound before, huh? Like we all have. But then we may not have crossed it again. And then suddenly someone comes and brings back this wound, these words that, wow, what is this, Mm-hmm. And somehow when you get used to all kinds of words, all kinds of situations, the openness to life, huh? Not that you have to meet all kinds of terrible people. That's not what I mean. But you can do the meditation or the healing at home, mm-hmm. trying to find all kinds of words that hurt you, that are unbearable, that are, and that's the way to get used to these things we reject, these clouds we don't want to see in our views and windows. And when we do this inner work only, they won't come so much into our way, huh? Because we met them inside. So it's also an easy way to meet ego, huh? Through the inner work, through the inner healing. It's also healing. It boosts your immune system because you're freeing the energy and the memories that were stuck in the body. So it's also very good for the body. Very good for the body also. Yeah.
Yeah, I've started a little notebook, and I am writing down some phrases and that you suggest in your book and working on them. But there's nothing like real life to trigger you, right?
Yes. And it will happen.
Yeah. And so it just feels very good to be able to laugh at it, because I was so triggered and so unhappy there for a couple of days, but it's past now. So
that's all what we need to develop, Lynne, really a good sense of humor when we never take ourselves seriously, because we will always be triggered one way or another. Whether you're enlightened or not, all of this is blah, blah. There is always something triggering. So it's better to develop a good sense of humor. I would say an enlightened person is someone who has a good sense of humor and doesn't mind so much the good or the bad or the whatever is happening, the good experience or the terrible experience or whatever,
Yeah.
There can be, again, the same openness. Huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's I've noticed that myself, that, yeah, if I can laugh at myself, it's feels really good.
Yes, because you see how liberating it is. There is nothing to pretend.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it wonderful to feel this way?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it feels really
What,
good. Yeah.
what sometimes we are looking through a special state is actually we can find it when we stop looking for any special state at all. Because in this absence of fighting with our own self, with our own mind, with our own body, instead of fighting with it and totally accepting it, there is such a relief that there is nothing to reach or pretend except welcoming the little me as it is, huh?
Mm-hmm.
With clarity.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a deep release. That's where you find the joy again, the child again, the spontaneity. There is nothing to hold on to, no image to hold on to, no character to hold on to, huh? No spiritual guru to hold on to, no mask to hold on to. So that gives you the freedom to be yourself, and that's what it is about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
that thing about being childlike, right? Not childish, but childlike. So, like children, they're so spontaneous, right? And
Yes. Yes.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
moment. And
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of people are not used to being around somebody that's like that too, right? And so,
So
I,
also we are a little bit afraid, actually, unconsciously, of this state because it disturbs people somehow.
yes, yes,
You need to learn to not. It's a little bit funny because through the heart, if you're too much yourself, too much bubbling, too much silly, sometimes too much, because when you go back to that spontaneous state, you can be a little bit silly, singing too much, or laughing too much sometimes, or being silly, not caring about little details, so annoying people who like things a certain way, and you kind of annoy certain people who are in their mind. So we know that unconsciously, and we are a little bit afraid of reaching that place because it is a challenge to adapt. So although your spontaneity is there through the heart,
mm-hmm.
you will also learn to adapt to people. It's not because you feel free that you're going to be free all the time and laugh all the time. And because if you feel some people are disturbed by it, the heart tells you, okay, put it down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So even if there is such a movement to be silly or to be spontaneous, you also feel because the heart is open. So you feel and sometimes say, okay, I'll behave a little bit. I'll put down my joy or put down a little bit. So you adapt. It's not about, oh, I'm spontaneous, I'm free, and then I can do whatever I want. There's still the connection to the heart that brings you to a place of adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
Adaptation.
Yeah, understanding, who you're with and that kind
Yeah,
of thing. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. The subtle, it's always a subtle borderline where you don't want to compromise too much also. Otherwise you lose yourself. So
yeah.
the heart is a very delicate place where it's all about respecting yourself enough and respecting others enough, but not too much for others, not too much for yourself. But we know from the heart place, we know where is a boundary. We know this boundary. There is no rule for it. We feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why it's important also to have experience of life, to meet people, to have experience, to not to isolate, not to stay into the cave or into the meditation hall, but to meet life, because it teaches you through life experiences the thin border of what it means to have self-respect and to respect others, what it means to be in the heart, what it means to compromise yourself or not, a little bit. Where is a borderline between self-respect and too much compromise?
Mm-hmm.
So this we learn from life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. That's basically all I wanted to talk to you about. um,
So when
I,
you do the healing, how do you proceed when you do the self-healing by yourself? How do you proceed? The book, go through the book, or how do you do, or through life experiences?
I'm doing both. I'm doing both. I've started to do some of the phrases that you have in the book, and I got sidetracked, and then I found that, like I said, when I wake up in the morning, sometimes my mind's already going, and so I thought, well, those are good thoughts to work with because they're already disturbing me.
Yes.
And so I do, sit with it and see where it feels in my body. And then sometimes I have a little bit of hard time trying to choose the other phrase that goes with it, the positive phrase. But sometimes when I get to that stage, then I just, you use the phrase or see if I feel that, that I'm, what's the phrase I use? I am loving awareness is the phrase that Ram Dass uses, because sometimes that doesn't feel true, right? And yeah, so that's basically how I'm doing it. Is sometimes I work from the book, but usually I let things that come to my mind spontaneously, then I use those for phrases to work on.
Yeah. Don't forget before and after, really the presence and the confirmation of who you are, because welcoming and being aware of ego patterns is great to be open to truth, to align with what is really in front of your window. That's self-realization. You realize you're aligned with truth, with what is in front of the window. But when you do that, we have a tendency to lose who we are. We are so used to identify with our thoughts and our emotions that it is very hard then to not to forget who we are, and to say, okay, it's fine. So don't forget before and after to really reconfirm who you are. I'm already free. I'm already perfect. I have nothing to reach. Don't forget that. I have nothing to reach. I have no problem. I'm open to problems, but I have no problems. The big difference between presence, knowing its quality, and open to the small body mind we are at a certain level.
Yeah.
So don't forget that, and I have no fears, and all these statements before and after the work on ego, to make sure you hold onto this presence. And I have nothing to fear, really, nothing to prove, nothing to worry about. I'm here. I'm free. I have no problems. I am love. I am silence. I am joy. But in a true sense, you see what it is. I am joy that is open to sadness. I am love that is open to hate. I'm silence that is open to noise. Real meaning of love and silence and joy. Because we can get, again, trapped by achievement.
Yes, like you don't have to be in a loving state all the time, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're not aligned with truth, with what is in front of your window. But see, it's always love that can watch the hateful cloud.
Yeah.
It's always pure freedom that can watch your limitations.
Right.
It is always pure peace that can watch the chaos in front of the window, the storm. And it is always pure silence, pure emptiness that is open to a very noisy view from the window, very noisy things that are happening inside you.
Right.
So don't get confused again. That's why I
Yeah.
don't usually use I am love, I am joy, I am peace, because we don't want to see the absence of love, the absence of peace, the absence of.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's why I tend to just talk about pure presence, because then you don't define it.
Right.
And
Right.
that's why we always say that who you are is unknowable, undefinable.
Unknowable. Yeah.
Really, in a way, you cannot define it. It's
Mhm.
absolutely pure. That's why we call it pure consciousness.
Right.
Because you cannot define it. Whatever you define becomes an object, but not the subject.
Right. Right.
You
Yeah.
understand?
Yeah, because it's putting boundaries on it if you call it
Yes,
a certain thing. Yeah.
yes. So to be safe, just hold on to pure presence, pure observing, pure openness. It's not because the observer will also go. The more you become, the more you know who you are, the more you're aware of your ego, the more you come back to your spontaneity when you don't need to think, who am I? Da, da. You're one with whatever, and it doesn't matter. You come to this point where nothing matters anymore. How you feel, what you think, you can be aware of it and recognize you're part of mistakes and this and that, but and you behave naturally, you trust yourself, you have enough trust. So you come to that place after you've been observing your ego, and after you really know who you are, you come to this place where you're just one with whatever you're experiencing. You don't need to take that distance. You become completely one, and that's a place of spontaneity that is realized. You're yourself. That's
Mhm.
self-realization. You can be yourself, but free from the patterns.
Mhm.
Or even not free, but when you will know, if you have already worked on your ego and see it, you will immediately know when it feels like, you know, in the body. You don't need to think. You immediately know, something is going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because you've been honest with yourself, you will also know whether this is your part or their part.
Right.
My responsibility in terms of my own ego or their ego. You'll be more and more clear.
Right.
And you won't fall in the trap of other people's ego also.
Yeah. Yeah.
So clarity will become more and more as much as after knowing your own ego. The fact of knowing yourself with your light and knowing yourself as ego will make you be very clear, and this clarity will bring you to the spontaneity again.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because when you're spontaneous, you're not looking for a reaction from anybody or trying to change how people see you or whatever. You're just being yourself. You're just being natural,
Yes,
right? Yeah. Yeah.
yes, yeah, yeah. So that's yeah, what
That's
it
great.
is.
Um. Yeah. Well. I guess I'm just going to continue on
And
with my phrases
if
and
sometimes problems on here, you know.
yeah.
How is your son, Lynn? How is your son?
Um, yeah, things are better with him. Uh, he he's come to another struggle in his life, but he's so much less triggered by it. He's been with a young woman for a little while, and now they're splitting up. And usually things like that just set him off. He gets very upset, but he's being very pretty calm about it. He's found himself another place to live, and he'll be moving in a few days. And he said to me the other day, "Well, I guess I'll find somebody else to be with." And so that's a huge shift from what he's been like in the past. And
Mm.
so yeah, it's been amazing. It's been, I guess, 4 years or something that things have been really tough for him, and he seems to be coming out of that phase, I guess, or whatever. But Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful.
And I don't know whether it's because things are getting better for him, but I'm much more able to not be upset and worried about him when things happen. But now, the last few phone conversations we've had, we've just been sort of like talking like two friends. Like, he's just wanting to tell me that he's feeling sad right now because, he's breaking up. And I said, yeah, I can relate to that. And it was just really, really good conversation the last couple of
Oh,
times.
wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
And you've also worked for your side about this issue of detachment on your part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am, um, yes, I think the phrase, I'm worried or I am afraid, that's a big one for me. I'm afraid that something's going to happen to him because he's had, you know, um, very dangerous things happen to him in the past. And so, yeah, the fear is probably the biggest one for me around
Yes,
him. So
yes,
I have worked on that phrase.
yeah. And that also helps him. Energetically, it really helps him. Yeah,
Right.
really helps him. It's
Yeah. So
wonderful.
so yeah, I think that between the two of us, we're changing and it's helping the whole situation, right?
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. We are all how do you call that in English? Communicative some pods,
Hmm.
communicating pods.
Hmm.
How do you call that? Huh? In English, there is an expression.
I'm not sure. Uh,
Whatever two empty vessels. One gets this and the other one will get it, or
oh,
that.
mhm,
We are all interdependent.
right.
And if you have a little bit less of that, you will meet this person who need. But if you become more and more, a little change in you can bring a change in him, and a change in him can bring a change in you. So we all like this dance in life,
Yeah.
huh? The
Yeah.
energy vessels, huh?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and the more we will empty ourselves, the more we can be completely into this communication, instantaneous synchronicity, communication or magic of life. And that's the beauty of this inner work. It's not only for you, it's helpful. It's helpful. It's very
Yes.
helpful.
Yeah, that one I am aware of. That, yeah, when we do this work for ourselves, it affects other people that we come in contact with, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
and so, yes, I was in the past. I was always trying to figure out what I could do to help him, but now I'm more focused on working on me, and I do see a difference in him too. So
Yes, it's wonderful. It's
yeah.
wonderful. And talking about attachment or detachment, I want also to make sure there is no confusion with these terms, because there's been also confusion in the spiritual path about detachment. Like you have to be detached from everybody in the cold sense. What I
Yes.
mean, detachment is being ready for everything to happen. The
Ah,
readiness, huh? uh, the readiness for anything to happen, either good or bad. Like I said, you open to your window, but it doesn't mean you cannot be attached to some people. You cannot be loving to people. You want to see them. This is natural. When I say attached, that's not the word, but you want to see them. You enjoy being present with your kids, with your family, with friends, with lovers. But there is a part in you that is also free to let go. There
mhm,
is a part in you that is always ready to let go of anything. And
mhm.
that's true detachment. It doesn't mean that you cannot have a certain level of attachment. Hmm?
Right. Right.
This is also important to understand.
Mm.
Very
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. It's like having a preference, but not being really attached to something, right? That.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm?
Yeah. Because I know that there's a big distinction there between wanting something just as a preference and wanting something and it driving your behavior or whatever, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Not forgetting that also you have the right to feel very attached. Huh? It's presence that recognizes the little me as very attached. Huh?
Yeah.
You understand? But you are at peace with this. And whenever you're at peace with an ego pattern, I'm at peace with my attachment, I'm at peace with my strong attachment. If you really need to, you'll be able to detach.
Ah, okay. Right.
So
Right.
circumstances will show you the boundary and the limit of what is acceptable or not, or what to, even when you go through a difficult situation, your body will react or will find the way to be okay, to be safe, to feel good, because there is this freedom in you, even if it's a tiny little seed. You have the freedom to say, okay, I have the right to be attached. Okay, I have the right to be this. At the level of my body mind, it's what it is. It's what is in front of my window. Huh? So it's fine. But this it's fine is your detachment. It is your detachment. And it will manifest if it's really necessary. You'll find the strength to cope with the situation. You'll find the strength to detach if a situation is not good for you. You'll find the strength to do something because you're okay with a little me as it is.
Right. Yeah.
That's what is the greatest strength.
Yeah. Yeah. Having the strength to not be overwhelmed by a situation, to know that, that if I don't know what to do in that moment, something will come later, something will bubble to the surface about, okay, well then I know now what to do, or something like that. Right?
And even welcoming, I don't know what to do, if there is this peace in it. I don't know what to do. It's okay. Huh? Don't forget, it's not about reaching. It's really about welcoming whatever is. And you'll always find that freedom inside you when you can welcome whatever is. So we are so used to being trapped by the mind, so used to run things a certain way, that we forget that little subtlety. Really, there is nothing to reach except welcoming the little me as it is, from clarity, from presence, from the source within. The open awareness, conscious love.
Oh, that's a big one. There's nothing to reach. Yeah.
Absolutely nothing to reach except truth, the truth of here and now.
Except truth. Yeah.
And truth is easy to reach because that's how we feel. That's what we experience. So it's so simple to be yourself. I feel confused. I feel trapped. I feel not at ease. I don't feel happy. I feel judgmental. I feel too much this. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. So it's easy to be yourself, to be aligned with truth. It's very easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That when you say there's nothing to reach except the truth of here and now, well, that's what Eckhart Tolle says about being in the present moment, right? Because there's no spiritual state to be reaching, right?
Really not. Really not. Really not. The only spiritual place to reach is truth. Within yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's to me, that's a big change, because all this reading I've been doing about spiritual teachers and different paths and stuff like that, and it's I think it's just gotten my mind busy and taken me away, like you say, from my heart.
Yes. And the heart is a simple place to be. Very simple.
Yeah.
Very ordinary. very humble, because there is no mask to have, nothing to pretend, no hide states to be trapped into.
Right.
Mm.
Right.
Lots of freedom there. You feel free. You feel yourself, because there is nothing to pretend. No.
Yeah. Yeah, and it makes me think about, you know, the freedom and the spontaneity of children, because they they usually behave or act from their hearts, and they don't have all that knowledge about, you know, being awakened. Because I know some spiritual teachers talk about, you know, that, you know, children are naturally in an awakened state for those first few couple of years of their life, right?
Yes.
But they don't know that, right? They don't have
Yeah.
a knowledge that that's, you know.
Yeah. So that's what they are missing, huh? And that's what we are trying to find. The state we used to be into, but the knowledge about that presence, about who we are, huh? So a child, like animals, they are naturally in the natural state. They are completely the divine happening, the divine dance. Huh? They are manifested. Animals, nature manifest the divine perfectly, but they don't know it. Children don't know it. Trees don't know it, and they are consciousness, pure consciousness in form, in manifestation, but they don't know it. We have the privilege as adults, as to know who we are, to recognize who we are, to enlighten, and to free ourselves through this understanding. So that's beautiful. And in order to do what? To come back to that natural state, but consciously, completely consciously.
Right. Yeah, that helps me a lot. I did most of my working life, I worked with young children. And
Yes.
I was always very attracted to young children because of their spontaneity and their joy, natural joy, and everything like that. And now I kind of understand why I was so attracted to do that kind of work, right?
Yes, yes. And see, observe children. It's a perfect state of self-realization. Huh? They fall. Do they mind falling? They say, wow. They don't hide the fact they have pain. You know, they say, yeah. But then as soon as they can come back, they will do again the same thing, or come back to the mud, or fall into the puddle, the you know, or be ready to make mistakes, be ready to lose. Not that they think of losing, but having this trust in life, you know, taking risk, going forward, not being afraid to, and not being calculative. The worst thing that happens to human beings as we mature, we get calculative. Oh, I should be doing that in case something happens like this or that. Not that I say we should not be a little bit careful, but too much of this calculative mind is the opposite of the trust, the natural abundance, the natural movement, and that we feel and we can dare and we can risk it, and we don't need to think about everything before going for it. There is just a movement of life. And that's what we are, a movement of life.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. This has been really helpful. I really appreciate talking to you.
I'm happy, Lynne. Nice to see you a little bit more privately also, and it's nice.
Yeah.
We have the same colors at home.
Yes, I see the wall on your. Yeah, that's interesting.
Okay,
So,
Lynne.
you were saying that you may not be doing any satsangs for a while through
The
Open
thing is
School?
that people don't show for me. This is
Don't sign up. Yeah.
yeah, don't sign up. So I just go with the flow. It's what it is happening. So I will continue. I will continue editing my website, sharing videos, and if people want private sessions, I'm available. But it may change in the future. But at the moment, there is very few people, so I will just go with the flow, and it's yeah.
See what happens. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all okay. All okay.
Well, I really appreciated the satsangs that I've participated in, and sometimes when I read some of what you've written, I just it just rings so true for me.
Yeah,
It's beautiful, and I'm still reading the new posts you have on your website. I haven't finished reading them all, but yeah, I've just found everything so helpful, and I'm really grateful that I stumbled upon you. I found you by accident, right?
thank you,
Right.
Lynn. Thank you very much. But it's interesting, huh? Because when you come to a place through the tradition, huh? When things happen through a tradition, you represent a comfort zone for people. Hmm?
Yeah.
But when things, so it's been in my life because I was at the UN before. I was working at the UN, and then I stopped when I had the awakening and then the illumination. I stopped working, and then I first realized, wow, now I have no more label on me. Before the UN worker, wow, that's
Yep.
very appealing. People trust you or feel secure with you. But then for many years, I had no labels on me. So you start seeing how people react differently to you.
Yes.
And then I got discrimination, but out of any traditions, I didn't. So I was not a comfortable zone for people. They need to trust me, and how to trust me. I don't look like a guru. I wear no white. I'm not special. I have my ego sometimes, and although it's been so many years, and so it's interesting to see how it is really a leap of faith, really to find the self and to be the self is really going beyond the rational mind and trusting your heart and listening to it. And if this doesn't happen, there is no way. If you look for security, a comfort, something that seems, traditional and secure, and you will not you will not find the light. And that's beautiful, Lynne, that you could be open to me. I'm not saying as me, Tilicho, but to the openness you had shows your readiness to be ready for the light, to listen to your heart, to trust your heart, and that's really, you can be grateful for yourself. Yeah.
Thank you. Grateful that I stumbled upon you, and yeah, I'm going to continue working, and I will continue being in touch with Open Circle in case you do any more satsangs in the future. And
Yes.
oh, I know what I was going to ask you. If COVID if the COVID situation changes, do you think you might be doing your walk next year?
In France, you mean the walk? Yes. The thing is that I will do in the future, but the thing is that I bought this house, which will be like a retreat center in the future, where people can come and rent a room and or dormitory and stay the time they want to stay. And there is a lot of work. I still need to work on it. And so this summer, I think I will be fixing the roof and
Oh,
I will
okay.
be working on the house. But in the future, for sure, I will start again. Yes. Yeah.
Woo! Well, then maybe I'll be able to come and see you sometime in person then.
That would be great, Lynne. That would be great.
That would be wonderful.
So all the best to you, Lynne. Huh?
Thank you.
Keep this
Thank you.
beautiful openness and truth only. Huh?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Keep focused on the truth.
yeah, yeah. And have no idea about yourself. That's the best place to be. Hmm?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No definition. That's
No
who you are.
definition.
Huh?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can be cold a day, warm a day. There is like a child. He doesn't define himself. That's why there is a beautiful range of being, of like you said, yoga, they are strict, they are defined.
Mm-hmm.
But the more you evolve toward yourself, you're undefinable. You can be, that's why also you become a mirror more, because you could appear this for this person and that for this person. And you can be a vegetarian sometimes, maybe not so much vegetarian sometimes. There is such a flexibility in you that you can appear, the more you get into removing labels, removing identities. Huh?
Yeah.
There is this freedom of being, and it is undefinable. So you cannot be so much like this or so much like this. Huh? You have a nature, you have your nature, but still there is a freedom to be. Huh? So we move towards the non-definable, the I don't know how to say it.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah.
I'm not this, or I'm not that, or I'm not a follower
Yeah.
of this thing or a follower of that thing, right? Yes.
Yeah.
But, and that's, it's freedom, but it's also, you know, like, there's that insecurity about not being part of, you know, a tradition or something, right? You know, a spiritual tradition, right? Yeah.
But
So
you have also freedom to be part of it. You know, that's total freedom of being whatever you feel like in the moment. But not holding on to it, not completely defined as such. You know, I am just a Buddhist. I'm just that. I am just that. I am just that. Because that's limiting the being you are. So enjoy the path, the tradition you want, enjoy everything. But don't be defined narrowly to that.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you very much, Tilicho. And I wish you well with fixing up your house and getting your retreat centers set up.
Thank you, and have a beautiful new year to come. Huh? Beautiful, hopefully better than this 2020.
Yes, yes. We all hope that, don't we? And you as well.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I will send you the video.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.